right, good evening. My name is Ashley Verville. I'm the Director of Communications for the Cherry Creek School District. Thank you for attending this very important event and taking the time to make an informed decision regarding the future leadership of the Cherry Creek School District. A big thank you to Cherry Creek High School for hosting tonight's forum and to all the staff who have helped with the event. Tonight is a community forum where candidates for the Board of Education will have an opportunity to introduce themselves to you and answer questions that are of interest to our community. This year, we have 2 contested races in District D and E. We will offer all candidates an opportunity to address the audience, to introduce themselves, and why they want to be a member of the Board of Education. We will then move into 2 rounds of questions, a quick round or a hand raise, and then questions from our community. Community questions may be directed at all candidates or specific candidates. Candidates will have 1 minute to answer the question. These questions were collected from various district parent groups, local PTCOs, and previous forums. Audience members here tonight are also able to submit questions for review via the QR code or a note card. We will try to get to as many community questions as possible at each forum. If we don't get to all of the audience questions tonight, we will use them at future forums. Every forum is being recorded and is posted on the district website in its entirety. We ask that as candidates respond, the audience reacts appropriately and that we show respect to these individuals who have stepped forward as willing volunteers for this important leadership role. Prior to this evening, each candidate was provided the opportunity to respond to 5 informational questions posted on the district website under the 2025 Board of Education election page. I encourage you to learn more about each person after tonight's forum. Our candidates from District D and E will now have 2 minutes each to introduce themselves and share why they are interested in being on the Board of Education. Tonight, I was going to begin with Tatiana Sturm from Director District E, but she did not appear tonight, or has not appeared yet. So we will start with Mike Hamrick from Director District E.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here, especially on a beautiful day after a couple of those cold days. My name is Mike Hamrick, and I'm running District E. You know, I want to say that I think experience matters. My experience on multiple boards around Arapahoe County, from Arapahoe County Budget Committee to being my Metro District President to being HOA President, prepares me well for the role in Cherry Creek Schools. I've designed budgets, I've implemented them, I've developed them, and made them fair, transparent. That's our goals for what we want to try on any board we've ever been on. I also currently serve on the Long Range Facility Planning Committee and get to look at a 10-year snapshot of what we need to do for the future in Cherry Creek Schools. One of the other committees I serve on is associated with that. It's the Boundary Subcommittee. You know, changing demographics happen all around Cherry Creek Schools. We've all seen it, from overcrowding at one school to, you know, undercrowding at others. And we work at developing fair solutions for the parents and students in those communities. So we try to do it to where we don't impact families and that we make sure that the children have safe, effective ways to get to school. Anyway, my name is Mike Hamrick. I'm an Air Force veteran. The Air Force taught me to serve, and that's why I'm running. One, to serve, but mainly to serve the students and the educators in Cherry Creek Schools. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next we'll hear from Amanda Thayer in Director District D.
Hi, good evening. My name is Amanda Thayer, and I'm running for the Cherry Creek School Board District D seat. I've always believed that a great education is the foundation for future success. This is a belief that's been instilled in me by my mother, who was a special education teacher for 30 years. It's what led me to pursue my own degree in education and to dedicate much of my career to training and development in both the public education and corporate settings. When my husband and I moved here 25 years ago, we chose Cherry Creek because of its excellent reputation. Even as a high school kid back in DECA, competing nationally, I remember competing against Cherry Creek and how they would always win first place. And I knew this was an area that we wanted to raise our family. In addition to working full-time, I've invested countless hours in our schools, volunteering, substitute teaching, serving as PTCO treasurer and president, and organizing events like teacher appreciation events and fundraising. Today, I serve on the District Accountability Committee's executive board as the only community representative, and I also chair the Family and Community Subcommittee. My professional background is in the defense industry, where I work on strategy, budgets, and process improvement. This 20-plus years of experience has also prepared me to lead with accountability and results. My top priorities are clear: focusing on student achievement, putting more money into classrooms, strengthening parent and community engagement, and ensuring fiscal responsibility. My mother always taught me that education works best when both the parents and the teachers are true partners, and that's the spirit I'll bring to the board. It's truly all about the kids. I look forward to our conversation this evening, and I would be honored to earn your support and your vote. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next, we'll hear from Terry Bates, also Director, District D.
Good evening. My name's Terry Bates, and Cherry Creek has been home to my family for more than 21 years. All 5 of my children graduated from CCSD schools, and during that time, my wife and I have volunteered in the district, supported families in need, and seen firsthand the incredible impact our schools have had on students' lives. I grew up in a family of educators. My mom was a teacher, my dad was a teacher, and my grandfather was a teacher. My dad was a special education teacher and later became a principal of a school dedicated to students with special needs. My 5 kids all have very different skill sets. One of my children is on the autism spectrum. 2 graduated at the top of their class. That experience has shown me that every student's journey is unique, and our schools must support every learner at every level. I know the value of hard work and opportunity. I paid for 100% of my college education, graduated from the University of Michigan, earned my CPA license, and built a 22-year career as a chief financial officer and senior executive here in the Denver area. Along the way, I also served on the board of directors for 10 companies, where I focused on financial stewardship, governance, and accountability. I'm running because I believe every student deserves an equal opportunity to learn, to grow, and to find their pathway of purpose. At a time when federal and state funding is uncertain and enrollment is declining, we need steady, experienced leadership to protect our classrooms. I'd be honored to earn your vote. Thank you.
Great, thank you. We will now start with a quick round or hand raised questions. I will read a series of statements. If you agree with the statement or if the statement applies to you, please raise your hand. If you disagree or it does not apply to you, leave your hand down. First question. I believe that public schools are currently failing our students. I believe elected politicians should be in charge of student curriculum. I think state and federally mandated standardized test scores are the best measure of student achievement. I believe our schools are teaching kids to transition genders. I believe public schools utilize instructional materials that address climate change as part of their science curriculum. I believe public schools should utilize instructional materials that address climate change as part of their science curriculum. I believe that content about racial inequity, racial violence, or talk about America in a derogatory way should be banned from public schools. I supported the construction of Traverse Academy in the 2020 bond. I believe the Constitution should be posted in every classroom. I believe the Bill of Rights should be posted in every classroom. I believe the 10 Commandments should be posted in every classroom. I understand that Cherry Creek High School has never had a valedictorian. I think the achievements of Cherry Creek School students reflect more than just test scores. I believe it's important and will commit to only discussing and sharing factual information regarding the district that can be properly sourced. Great. Next, we will proceed to our community questions. As I said, these questions were collected from various Cherry Creek parent groups, such as Parents Council, individual school PTCOs, and audience members. Audience members here tonight were able to submit questions. These questions have been grouped by a common theme for tonight's purposes. Community questions may be directed at all candidates or specific candidates. Please remember that the response to each question is limited to 1 minute and should be completed when the buzzer sounds. The first question is for all the candidates. Do you believe that public education is one of the great pillars of our society? Please explain your answer. Terry, we'll start with you.
Yes, I do. I think it's the best opportunity for every child in America to advance social economically. So it's the best opportunity. I want to follow up on something from the last forum. I'm really concerned that Amanda and Tatiana are running a slate that reminds me a lot of what we saw in Douglas County. They were even handpicked by Molly Lamar, and all their campaign materials feature both of their names. They support expanding charter schools, which take resources away from public classrooms. And Amanda even chose to send one of her children to a private school in Douglas County. For 75 years, Cherry Creek has been dedicated to excellence, staying focused on students, teachers, parents, and stability. We need to continue doing that on a nonpartisan basis.
Amanda, same question.
I do believe that public schools are excellent, and I do believe that we need to get back to a culture that rewards hard work and achievement. Every student deserves the chance to rise based on merit, not circumstance, and that means holding high academic standards and celebrating excellence, whether it's in academics, trades, or the arts. Right now, too many students are slipping through the cracks because expectations have been lowered instead of giving every child the tools they need to meet those high standards. We can believe in both fairness and excellence. They go hand in hand. As a district, we should be empowering teachers to teach, rewarding efforts and results, and making sure every classroom is focused on growth and mastery. My goal for every Cherry Creek student is to graduate truly prepared for college, for a trade, or for military or community service, because we focused on outcomes, not politics or rhetoric. That's how we restore pride and purpose in our schools.
Mike, same question.
Well, public education is part of this great experiment we have in the United States of America. It's the thing that gave us the opportunity, all our children, an opportunity to grow. Without public education, children from different lower social economic areas may not have the same opportunities that kids are in the Cherry Creek School District. Public education gives us that pathway to purpose, so that our students can grow and become successful citizens in this great nation here. So, public schools, we need them, we want them, we need to fund them, and we need to do everything we can to support them.
Great. Next question is also for all candidates. What do you want your major contributions to be as a board member of the district? Mike, we'll start with you.
Well, the first thing, as a contribution, I want to ensure that we fully fund our education in Cherry Creek schools. We need to increase the literacy rate across the district. I believe the district goal is to have 100% by 2030. Well, it's 2025. Maybe we can cut that in half, but we need to. We need literate students. We need well-educated students. We also need to have that continue on the pathway to purpose that we have. You know, from college-bound, highly college-prepared graduates to workforce graduates that come out of the CCIC. And I really want to focus a lot on what the programs are at CCIC because it's a great opportunity. One of the worst things we ever did in public education was eliminate the vocational ed programs years ago. It's back, it's better, and we're blessed to have the CCI campus and the soon-to-be campus at Overland.
Great. Amanda, same question. What do you want your major contributions to be as a board member of the district?
As a future board member, I am excited to serve on the board to help our district return our literacy rates back to what they should be. I believe it's also a goal of our superintendents to increase reading by the year 2030. As a former teacher, I strongly believe in the importance of early literacy, especially in the early elementary years. It lays the foundation for our students' future success. Currently, less than 50% of Cherry Creek third graders are meeting grade level standards in English language arts, and by 11th grade, the percentage only improves slightly. But still, about 1 in 3 students are not meeting grade level reading expectations. That means fewer than half of our students are achieving at grade level. Imagine looking to your right in a Cherry Creek school classroom where one of the 2 students sitting next to you is likely not reading at that school level in order to succeed. So that is my goal to be on the board, is improve that literacy.
Terry, same question.
My focus is on fiscal integrity, student opportunity, teacher support, parent partnership, and ensuring every student is reading at grade level by 2030. Cherry Creek's strategic plan sets a bold goal: every student meeting literacy benchmarks by 2030. Right now, Cherry Creek continues to outperform state averages on assessments with a 91.2% graduation rate, our highest ever, top SAT and PSAT results across metro districts. I'll help reach that literacy goal by supporting evidence-based instruction, early intervention, targeted help for struggling readers. With transparency and collaboration, I'll keep Cherry Creek focused on preparing every child to thrive in school and in life.
Next question will be for District Director D, starting with Amanda. Amanda, during a hand raise at a previous forum, you said it was important for a board candidate to disclose all financial and/or legal issues they've encountered. Why do you believe this is important?
I don't believe I raised my hand for that.
Okay. Do you believe that it's important for a board candidate to disclose all financial and/or legal issues?
No, I do not.
Okay. Terry, do you want to respond to that question as well?
Yes, I do. Okay. I'm concerned about the financial experience and transparency of the slate of Amanda and Tatiana. Tatiana has had 7 foreclosures and 1 bankruptcy, and since she and Amanda are running together as a slate, that raises serious questions about their shared judgment and financial responsibility. Even more concerning, Amanda doesn't believe Board of Education candidates should have to disclose their financial history. With my extensive financial and senior executive experience, I know how to ask the tough questions, hold the superintendent accountable, and make sure every dollar is spent wisely. You can trust me to manage taxpayer funds with integrity, transparency, and sound judgment.
Okay, next question is for all candidates. The Cherry Creek School District currently spends about 4% of its budget on administration, which includes the superintendent to assistant principals. Some have argued this is too much. Where do you stand, and where would you like to make cuts specifically? Amanda, we'll start with you.
I believe that I am going to stand up and discontinue this forum. I don't think that this is evident in the way that we should be asking questions about what we think about the school board and how we're moving forward. So the personal attacks are not okay. If that's how we are going to perform as school board members, then I'm not going to sit here and be a part of that, because that is not what I believe a school board member should, how a school board member should respond or how a school board member should act. We are here for the kids. We are here to talk about what the future looks like for our children in this Cherry Creek School District. We're not here to throw stones, so thank you.
Okay. I will go ahead and repeat the question, and Terry and Mike, assuming you would like to stay, can answer it. Cherry Creek School District currently spends about 4% of its budget on administration, which includes the superintendent to assistant principals. Some have argued this is too much. Where do you stand, and where would you like to make cuts specifically? Terry.
First of all, to do a thorough job, I'd have to spend more time with the superintendent, the DLT, and the CFO to gain a more deep understanding. I will tell you that if you look at the administrative cost, and this is the non-school staff, so it's admin, personnel, and departments like HR and legal, makes up 3% of the labor budget. Comparison to other districts, DPS, 8.2%, Dougco, 5.4%, Littleton, 5.5%, Jeffco, 4.2%, Boulder, 6.2%, Aurora, 10.5%. Based on these facts, it's proof that our district is leaner than any other of the neighboring school districts.
Mike, same question.
Well, I always think it starts with reviewing the budget to see if we have any adjustments that need to be made. And that's across the board. That's just not in administration. You know, our money should be invested in our students and our educators. Hands down, that's where the brunt of it needs to go. I have to tell you, in my business career, I was a K-12 salesperson for life safety systems, communications, and security. I've worked with all the metro districts. By far, the lowest interference, or not interference, it's the wrong word, sorry about that, but the lowest amount of administrative burden has been Cherry Creek schools and actually Douglas County schools as well. I've worked in DPS, Jeffco, Adams 12, and I've seen what they have what appears to be a kind of a large administrative budget, and we do a great job in Cherry Creek, and I don't know that I make any cuts.
Great. Next question. The U.S. Department of Education recently announced the launch of America 250 Civics Education Coalition. Do you support this initiative? Why or why not? Mike, we'll start with you.
I do not, and I'll tell you why. I have a degree in history, and we need to focus on what has happened in the past. We need to study things like the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. We do not need a revisionist guide to history being put out by the Department of Education, which I thought was going away at times, so I'm glad it's still there. But we need to focus on reality. That's why I studied history, so we can look at the past and create a pathway to not make those mistakes in the future. So let's teach the facts, and that's all I'll say on that. Thank you.
Terry, same question to you.
I believe in the teaching of all civics. I also believe one of our core values is a growth mindset. So every kid should have the opportunity to expand their knowledge on all levels of civics. I think over time, that'll make them more productive students and taxpayers in our community.
Okay. Cherry Creek School District is proud to employ about 9,000 staff members and has become a destination district for many teachers. Do you believe all teachers and support staff are highly trained professionals who deserve to be treated and compensated fairly? How would you continue to retain and attract top-tier talent? Terry, we'll start with you.
Excuse me. I believe in fair compensation, respect, and ongoing professional growth. In order to attract and retain top-tier talent, we must maintain competitive pay, manageable workloads, a culture of trust and collaboration. Investing in our teachers means investing in student success.
Mike, same question.
Well, we have 9,000 employees supporting our students across the district. I believe 4,300 of them are educators in the classroom. We need to support the educators and the staff members with one among the top pay in the state of Colorado, and we need to make sure they have benefits that support what they're doing for their well-being in their life. I mean, they're the glue that holds Cherry Creek schools together. It's our educators. We also need to make sure our educators are treated with dignity and respect from all parties they're involved with, from administration to parents to students. And I think that's, teachers will need the fair pay, benefits, and respect. Thank you.
Great. School districts are regularly forced to implement new state initiatives passed by voters or the state legislature, some of which are unfunded or underfunded. What is one recent example of this, and how will you help advocate for common sense proposals that don't present a financial hardship to school districts? Mike, we'll start with you.
Just one? Just kidding. Of course, we got the Healthy Meals program that was, voted on and implemented. And of course, that's come in under budget, and we'll be back on your ballot under Propositions LL and MM this year to try to shore up that funding. But also, our preschool program. I don't remember the exact number. I think it was somewhere around $10 million a year that Cherry Creek schools and taxpayers had to fund for the early preschool program because it wasn't implemented and funded correctly. So sometimes the good intentions that take place down at the Golden Dome downtown, they're good intentions, but they need to be thought out better and implemented better.
Terry, same question.
One program I recall that came into place a few years ago is the Colorado's Universal Preschool Program. It's actually a great initiative that helps families. It just wasn't fully funded, leaving districts to cover gaps in staffing, space, and administration. Again, I think it's a great program. It needs to be appropriately funded. This kind of underfunded mandate strains local budgets, pulls resources from other needs of other kids in the district. I'll advocate for common sense legislation that funds what the state requires and give districts flexibility to implement programs responsibly without shifting the burden onto the schools and taxpayers.
All right. As has been mentioned at previous forums, Cherry Creek School District is a declining enrollment district, as are many other school districts in the metro region. What does that mean exactly, and what would you propose to address this current reality? Terry, start with you.
I've done some research on this topic, okay? 110 out of 179 school districts in the state have declining enrollment. Frankly, the biggest issue we're facing right now is house prices and mortgage rates. People cannot afford to move. So you have a lot of parents whose kids have graduated through the schools. However, the cost of buying a new home is too much to bear. So you can look in the real estate market, there's just that much turnover in homes. As a result, again, we're left with families that have already graduated through the school, and we're not bringing in new families that have kids.
Mike, same question.
With the declining enrollment, as Terry said, most of the districts across the state have declining enrollment. A lot of that is population shift. Have more babies, people, although I'm a little too old for that. I live on a cul-de-sac with about 16 homes. On that, we have 3 of them that have students in Cherry Creek schools. And of those 3, 2 of them are seniors. All the other homes in my cul-de-sac are empty nesters. And why? Well, one, I love my neighborhood, I don't want to move, but it's also because of the price of housing. A young family can't afford to buy a home in my neighborhood. I can't really afford to buy a home to downsize. I mean, why downsize and spend the same money? So really, it's a lot of changing demographics and price points.
Great. Tell us about the last time you attended a board study session. What were the topics, and what was your reaction to the information? Mike, start with you.
The last study session I attended, I think it was last month, but it was kind of a report out on the CMAS scores. And looking at all the different variations across the district of how our students performed on that one test that was one snapshot in one day of our school year. I'm not a big fan of CMAS, as you could probably tell by my answer. But I attended that. But one of the takeaways I had from that, we had so many years where we had parents opting out of taking CMAS because parents agreed it wasn't the best evaluation for their students or their school. But one of the big things I noticed, the takeaway, was how the district has changed that, and they're trying to get the families involved in taking these tests so that we have a better reflection on where everybody stands across the district.
Terry, same question.
Yes, I attended the study session in August. Also, that's reviewing the results of the CMAS. A couple takeaways Mike mentioned. One is what they refer to as participation rate. Participation rate are the number of students on a percentage basis who are taking the test. That continues to grow steadily inside the Cherry Creek School District. What that means is it has an adverse impact on overall test scores because you're bringing in additional students who aren't the best students, but you're still encouraging them to take the test. The other takeaway was why the district is on the right strategic path to improve literacy and have everybody at literacy levels by the year 2030.
Great. What other metrics besides test scores do you consider in evaluating excellence? Terry, we'll start with you.
Well, I do look at graduation rate. I think it's also important for the kids who are going to college. I'd like to understand how they're doing on the ACT, SAT, PSAT. I'd like to understand the holistic view of a student. How much participation do we have students in other extracurricular activities? And again, we should look at extracurricular activities in addition to just sports. I know sports are really popular, but there's so many other extracurricular activities for our kids in the school district. So are our students participating in extracurricular events? How are they doing after high school? Are our students, which they are valuable contributors to our community? So it's another metric to look at.
Mike, same question.
There's so many different metrics. I think there's a series of around 8 different testing things that take place in a student's academic year. But I think one of the most important things we have to look at is our graduation rate. You know, Cherry Creek has approximately 92% of our students that graduate, which is one of the highest in the state of Colorado. You know, we look at things such as the numbers of Betcher scholarships, Daniel scholarships, appointment to the military service academies. So many of our Cherry Creek graduates get these awards. I believe last year, be off a little bit, our graduates were able to get $50 million for academic continuance in their academic career. That's how I measure performance.
Great. This question is for Terry. Given your CFO experience and the fact that the district already has a CFO, explain how you would approach this as a board member without overstepping your role.
The CFO of the district reports to the superintendent. The board has a responsibility of oversight of the school district. The school board has one employee, and that's the superintendent. With my experience, I will be able to ask the tough questions of the superintendent on our fiscal health. I can also then ensure we drive accountability from a fiscal perspective. But I have the experience to ask the difficult questions that other people cannot.
Okay. Mike, this question is for you. You said experience matters. Can you please provide more detail on your experience, especially managing a large budget?
Well, I'll say this, I haven't managed a $950 million budget, but is that just a bunch of zeros added to what I have done? With the Metro District, I managed right around $1.5 million a year. One of the best things I did managing that budget was set aside a reserve fund so we could pay off our construction bonds early. And we were able to do that with just a small set aside for 5 or 6 years, and we were able to pay it off early. That's going to be for our Metro District bill, about a third off that bill they have. And that's the second largest source of property tax that our homeowners do in our neighborhood. So I was really glad to put that into the budget and make sure that was executed.
Great. Cherry Creek High School is currently underway on phase 1 to rebuild the high school campus. How do you feel about an additional investment being made into Cherry Creek High School for phase 2 as part of a potential 2028 bond package? Mike, we'll start with you.
Well, first of all, I got to thank all the voters around Cherry Creek High School. Without your past support on the bonds, all that growth out to the east would have never occurred. We'd have crowded schools. We wouldn't have beautiful facilities like Cherokee Trail, Grandview High School, Woodland Elementary. You guys help support us, and it's time for the rest of the taxpayers to invest in redeveloping this high school. I've worked in this high school on a maintenance side, doing the fire protection system. This was a difficult environment to work on because of the age, the environment, and just the construction materials that existed when this school was built. So yes, I think it's estimated around $100 million. I fully support the next bond and looking forward to improving Cherry Creek High School.
Terry, same question.
I'm fully supportive of raising additional money at the next bond to continue replacing aging facilities here at Cherry Creek High. This has been the birthplace of the school district. It's an amazing campus. We need to continue investing in this facility. I think long-term it does two things. Because of deferred maintenance costs and just day-to-day uptake, over time, it will be a good return on investment by replacing aging facilities. I also think it will expand the opportunities for our students to learn.
It has been discussed, again, at previous forums, that there was $300 million in deferred maintenance needs in the district leading up to the 2024 bond. Can you speak to a couple of reasons as to why there was deferred maintenance needs following the 2020 bond and the capital construction challenges of school districts today? Terry, we'll start with you.
I'm sorry, say that. Can you say that again, please?
Sure. Following the 2020 bond, there was $300 million in deferred maintenance needs. Can you speak to a couple of reasons as to why you believe there was deferred maintenance needs and what the capital construction challenges are of school districts today?
Let's go back to 2020 and reset what was happening there. We were in a pandemic. The economy was in a tailspin. There was a period of time a lot of economists thought we were going to go into a recession. People were losing jobs. People didn't have money. It was very difficult in our community and other communities across the United States. Those were dark days, both from a pandemic perspective and an economic perspective. There was no choice but to save costs wherever you could and then look for opportunities to improve the facilities when you're in a better financial position.
Mike, same question.
Well, I concur with some of that said. I think that was one of our lowest bond issues that we had. But what we're talking about is the deferred maintenance. First of all, the maintenance department in Cherry Creek Schools, right across the street at 9301, I believe, they do a fabulous job. They're on track and keep all the systems running across their district. You know, currently their budget's, $30 to $40 million a year annually? And that's great for maintaining systems. But some systems, when you talk about that $300 million, are things like chillers, HVAC units, high dollar things that cannot be done usually within that $30 to $40 million budget to maintain our schools.
Great. Do you believe politics have a place in education? What does that mean to you? Please explain your answer. Mike, I'll start with you.
Well, I absolutely do not believe we need politics in the classroom. Our kids need to be educated on all aspects, as we talked about earlier, like the Constitution, Bill of Rights, things like that. We don't need to have politics involved in our classroom. But however, we do need politics involved with the school board and the school district. We need to be there working in politics, fighting for folks under the Golden Dome for school funding for our students. So depending on how you look at the question on politics, we do need to have that avenue there. But as far as the curriculum, no, we do not.
Terry, same question.
I'll go back to what I mentioned on civics. I think every student should learn as much as we can on civics. I think that's a good learning experience for a growth mindset for kids. When it comes to decision making, when it comes to discussions with parents and teachers and the school board and other folks, it has to be nonpartisan. There's only one true north. The true north is our kids. We've got to keep politics out of day-to-day discussions on social media and amongst various parent groups.
All right. What changes would you make if you were elected to the board? Terry, start with you.
First thing I have to do is spend more time learning about the goals of the superintendent and the DLT. So in order to make an informed decision on what changes I would make, I would have to, I'm accustomed to developing a 100-day plan. So within the first 100 days, I would just dive into the details, learn and study as much as I can about the district before developing a plan to go forward with a new initiative.
Mike, same question.
Well, I think square one would be to sit down with the other board members. Let's have that communication on a joint vision of what we need to see Cherry Creek Schools doing moving forward. I'd also immediately sit down with our superintendent, our chief financial officer, and the district leadership team to see what their thoughts on are the vision for the next 75 years in Cherry Creek Schools. And let's not forget, we also need to sit down with parent groups, find out what they're thinking, what they see we're doing well in the district and where we need to go. And most importantly, in my opinion, is sit down with our educators. Those are the folks, as I said before, are the glue that hold our schools together, that educate our students. So I think it's kind of a multi-track thing, and I can see if I'm elected that I'm going to be busy November, December, going into January, and I hope to have your vote so I can do that.
Great. Equity is a core value of the district. Do you believe it should be, and what does it mean to you? Mike, start with you.
I'm so pleased that it's a core value for our district. I think I mentioned earlier that in this great democracy, public schools gives us all that opportunity to grow from no matter where they're from. So to me, equity is about having that equal chance and that opportunity to move forward in their childhood and onto adulthood. You know, we need to be equitable to all. Doesn't matter their religious background, their social background, their economic background, or even their sexual identity. We need to be equitable to every student in Cherry Creek Schools.
Terry, same question.
One of the reasons why I'm running is I want to ensure that every student has an equal opportunity for academic success, a quality education, and a pathway to purpose. Equity is a core value in the Cherry Creek School District. What it means, and you can read, and it's printed in the core values. It means recognizing that students face different barriers: race, disability, economics, or geography. It's our job as leaders in the district to break down those barriers. Equity means creating fair access and support in every classroom and every school so that all students can reach their pathway of purpose. I'll make sure our policies, resources, and practices reflect that commitment.
Great, thank you. K-12 funding in the state of Colorado ranks about 44th in the nation, yet we rank about 4th in the nation in Medicaid funding. How do you believe Colorado should prioritize K-12 funding considering its current budget constraints? Terry, start with you.
The state's got to reprioritize money. Educating our students is a long-term investment. Having a well-educated community, okay, over time reduces crime. It increases mental health stability. There are a number of favorable attributes that come from having a strong and thriving educational community. We need to petition the state to revisit how they allocate funds.
Mike, same question.
Oh, geez. You know, some of the news we recently heard was the state eliminated what they call the BS factor, and it does not stand for what you think BS stands for. It took us to 1989 funding levels in our schools. We need to fight for better funding with our student match from the state so that we can fully, get us up to hopefully fully funding. I know it's a pipe dream to get us up to 2025 standards, but hopefully there's some things on the horizon. There was recent legislation that basically set aside about $250 million a year that is dedicated to K-12 education. Now, how that'll affect our basic student funding overall, I don't know yet, but it's a start in the right direction.
What policies or programs would you advocate for to address the youth mental health crisis in our schools? Mike.
Well, that's one of our values as well. We have a mental health crisis across this country. Colorado and Cherry Creek are not exempt from this. I think it's been estimated that approximately 1 in 5 of our students has some kind of mental health crisis, and that is just too high. But we have some programs in place. I believe the Hazel group that gives up to 6 visits per year to students. We have our Safe to Tell programs where students can call in when there's issues. And of course, we have the first in the nation, Traverse Academy. For those that are severely impacted by mental health, they can get the treatment they need there while pursuing their studies and then return back to the classroom when they are successful with their programs.
Terry, same question.
As Mike mentioned, whole well-being is one of our core values. I think we were one of the first in the nation to come out with the Traverse Academy. I think we need to continue investing in that program. One specific program that's near and dear to me, we see it in the workforce, we see it across the whole United States, it's suicide. So there's a program that tries to educate students about how to recognize the signs of mental health and potential suicide. I don't know how much money it will cost to continue investing in this, but it's worth every penny to save every life.
Cherry Creek Schools regularly publishes data to be transparent and informative around our budget, bond improvements, test scores, and work related to our strategic plan. What else could be done? Terry.
Can you say it again, please?
Sure. Cherry Creek Schools regularly publishes data to be transparent and informative around our budget, bond improvements, test scores, and work related to the strategic plan. What else could be done to be transparent and informative?
As I was preparing to run as a candidate, I spent a lot of time reviewing the school district's website. there is a ton of information on the school district's website. I suspect, as being a working parent, like a lot of people are, it's hard to find time to navigate through the website. There's so much information. I think what we can try to do better, it's just, it's part of a growth mindset and continuous improvement, is trying to educate parents on where the information is on the school district's website. You can't over-communicate how much valuable information is right in front of you on the school's website.
Mike, same question.
Do you mind repeating it?
Sure. Cherry Creek Schools regularly publishes data to be transparent and informative around our budget, bond improvements, test scores, and work related to the strategic plan. What else could be done?
Well, I think they do a great job of it. I mean, you look at the bond website that said what was going to be done, and now what is being done. I think that interactive map, if you haven't checked it out, check it out for your school to see what's going on, whether it's started yet or if it's proposed. The website is a great tool, but as Terry said, it takes time for parents that are cooking dinner and helping with homework to review it. Perhaps what we need to do is have a little more engagement along the community to inform them of the budgets and what we're doing. But the information is there. It's state law. We have to disclose that financial information just like every school and school district in the state. So we need to continue that, and I think it's just a matter of trying to inform our taxpayers of where everything's at.
Great. There are about 400,000 unfilled teaching positions nationwide, including hundreds in Colorado. Can you speak to why you believe there is a teacher shortage in our state and nation, and what Cherry Creek Schools is doing to solve this problem? Mike.
Well, first of all, starting teacher pay for decades was so low that why would somebody want to go into debt for 4 or 5 years to study and then not have enough income to buy a house, feed their families, or move on? Now, what's really great is teacher pay is increasing, benefits are increasing. Cherry Creek's a little different. I think if we talk about all those thousands of jobs out there, I believe Cherry Creek website has about 10 openings for educator positions at the moment. The Aspiring Educator Program, that's one way we're going to help too. I believe we have 50 or 60 students in the program this year, which is Cherry Creek paraprofessionals with the ability to get a BA in education and then return to Cherry Creek schools as a certified teacher.
Terry, same question.
It's well known information across the country that there's a high rate of burnout with teachers. It's a demanding job. There's pressure both from the parents and then from other stakeholders on working with the kids. We're also trying to provide an equal opportunity for every kid. It takes additional resources and patience. It's a tough job. Not to mention pay is an issue. And then finally, getting a college degree is expensive. So a lot of teachers, it's common to have a lot of student debt. Student debt also puts stress on teachers.
Great. How will you balance innovation and fiscal responsibility as costs rise and funding stays limited? Terry, we'll start with you.
It's a great question, It's what I do for a living. I've been doing this at every company I've worked at as a chief financial officer and a senior executive for the last 22 years. The first thing you got to do, you have to learn about the size of the issue. How big of a gap do we have to fill? The second item I'm going to do, I'm going to meet with the superintendent and the DLT and try to find out what ideas do they have to save money without sacrificing an excellent education for every student in the district. Again, this would be part of a 100-day plan that I would work on with the superintendent and the DLT.
Mike, same question.
Well, it's definitely a tough question, but I can tell you where we wouldn't make cuts, and that's to our students in the classroom. That has to be our focus on every decision we make. Our budgets are a moral document of how we want to proceed, and we'll have to look at all kinds of different resources to make sure that our funding in our classroom is there. We need to look at innovative ideas, like is there some private-public partnerships we could look at to help increase funding in our schools. And of course, we need to focus on a career and innovation campus for those kids as well for the workforce. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough question, and it's one I will be there to help address.
How would you prioritize parent partnerships and community feedback if you were elected to the Board of Education? Mike.
Well, I believe in Cherry Creek Schools we have 100 different committees, organizations parents can be a part of. From PTCOs to district accountability to long-range planning, just so many different clubs and opportunities. I prioritize that by getting that information out to all of our parents, to try to get them engaged, because an engaged parent makes for a better engaged student. So, do we do that through social media, website, handouts from the school, email blasts? I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways we can do this, and quite frankly, we need to do that because we need parents involved in our schools with their kids, and that's how they'll be successful students.
Terry, same question.
Mike makes a number of good points. There are a lot of parent organizations throughout the district. Frankly, what I would do an anonymous survey in the community and find out from the community what the issues are and the recommendations they have for improvement. But an anonymous survey to all taxpayers in the community.
Okay. Almost 80% of educators are part of the teachers union. Can you explain your opinion of the union when they represent so many educators? Terry.
It's a great question. I was planning on bringing it up. I have my opponent in the slate says my endorsement from the Teachers Association is a conflict of interest. Here are the facts. The teachers invited both of us to meet. I showed up, I listened, I shared my vision. My opposition refused to listen. But the Teachers Association represents the supermajority of all teachers. They endorse me because of my commitment to every student's opportunity for a high-quality education, a clear pathway of purpose, and my belief that teachers must be true partners in student success. Listening to teachers is not a conflict of interest. It's leadership, because when teachers succeed, our students succeed.
Mike, same question.
Well, 70% of the educators in Cherry Creek schools are members of the Cherry Creek Education Association. They're there for many reasons. One is for fair pay, health care benefits, but respect in the classroom. They're the glue, as I said earlier, for our students. They deserve a professional organization that can work together and impact the growth in Cherry Creek schools. They deserve respect. They're the ones that are there on the front lines every day. And we all know over the decades, we've put more and more on our educators every day. I'm honored to have their endorsement. I probably wouldn't be in this race still if I didn't, because I care about where our educators are and what they're doing in the district.
Aside from board-related reasons, when was the last time you were in a Cherry Creek school and why? Mike.
Sunday at Campus Middle School for the Walk for Sudan to support the Nuba Water Project. Saturday, Thunder Ridge Middle School for STEAMapalooza. What a great event. My grandson and son-in-law attended and learned a lot. Let's see, Thursday, I believe it was Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, I was at Polton Elementary for a PTCO fundraiser, the Den Dash they called it, to raise money for the PTCO. I could go on and on. I've been in every building in Cherry Creek schools over my professional career. I relish every time I go in. I love walking the halls and seeing, especially the elementary schools, and seeing these bright kids looking out of the classroom or walking down the hall. So I know that's more than the last time.
Terry, same question.
In August, I was at Bellevue Elementary for back to school. Wanted to see how that was working out. Also, during the month of August, I was at the Cherry Creek Innovation Campus. I wanted to learn more about what's going on at CCIC. CCIC is a world standard program. Many schools across the United States are trying to copy what we're doing at CCIC. I wanted to see firsthand what CCIC is all about, and I was blown away. It is an amazing school. I'm looking forward to when they complete the expansion and add 9 more pathways for purpose.
Great. Okay, and our last community question of the evening. Name one innovative thing Cherry Creek Schools has done in the last 5 years or so that you believe has been a game changer for students, staff, and the community. Terry.
Well, I just mentioned it, okay? It's Cherry Creek Innovation Campus. For those who haven't been there, or for those who don't know as much about it, it's a part-time high school where students attend career pathway classes while staying enrolled at their home schools. CCIC offers currently 9 pathways, such as aerospace, health and wellness, IT, and future educators that we talked about, that we need to help supplement the school district in the future. It blends academics with real-world skills and certifications. If elected, I'll support that expansion, ensure access for all students, strengthening this bridge between education and workforce success.
Mike, same question.
Well, I'm going to have to concur with Terry. One of the most awesome things we have going for us in Cherry Creek is the CCIC campus. #1 technical training program in the world. Not just the USA, it's in the world. And with thanks to the voters, with this bond issue, we're essentially doubling it. And we're going to have all these new programs for our students. You know, part of that Pathways of Purpose. So they can learn a skill, a trade, a vocation that they could take out of high school and into their career. Not all kids are going to college. I mean, I know I was guilty. I was forcing my kids to go to college, and they did, and they were successful. I'm glad of it. Thank you, Cherry Creek, for preparing them. But we got to have those pathways of purpose, different things besides just the classroom.
Thank you. We'll now move into final comments. Each candidate will have 1 minute to provide closing thoughts. For final comments tonight, we'll start with Terry Bates.
In summary, there are 3 key things to remember about me, please. First, I believe every child deserves equal access to a high-quality education and the opportunity to develop their pathway of purpose. Second, to achieve that, we must invest in our teachers and staff, engage parents as true partners, and keep our schools safe for every child. Third, experience matters. As a chief financial officer and senior executive, I've led challenges and made tough decisions with transparency and integrity. I'll bring that same steady leadership and commitment to public education to keep Cherry Creek strong for every student, for every family, and every future. I'd be honored to earn your vote. I am the first name on your ballot. Thank you.
Mike.
Well, first of all, the reason I'm running because kids matter. That's what we're here for. That's what I hope all of you are here for, not for any other reason. I'm running to continue the next 75 years of excellence that Cherry Creek Schools has provided. I want to be on the board working with our leadership teams, our superintendents, our educators, our parents, and our students to figure out the best direction forward for the next 75 years. You may or may not agree with everything I've said here today. That's okay. We're all humans. But the one thing I will say is I am always available. I will always listen, and I will put 120% into everything I do on the Cherry Creek School Board. And I'd love to have your vote, and thank you so much for being here this evening.
Great. Thank you to both of you. That concludes our program this evening. Thank you for taking the time to be here, to both of our candidates, to the audience for your attention and desire to make an informed decision. Thank you to the staff, again, of Cherry Creek High School for hosting us tonight. As a reminder, tonight's forum has been recorded and will be available on the Cherry Creek School District website. Have a great night, and remember to vote.